Lucy Hayes never expected to find herself married to the heir of the Zetharian Empire. She was just a regular engineer on the first human expedition to the Andromeda Galaxy. The diplomatic mission was supposed to be simple, establish contact with the advanced alien civilization and secure a trade agreement. No one told her that making direct eye contact with the Princess Zarala of the Zetharian Empire was considered a marriage proposal according to their ancient customs. No one warned her that the deep purple eyes of the aliens were hypnotic and almost impossible not to stare at. And certainly no one mentioned that saying yes to a simple question about human technology would be interpreted as accepting the proposal. Yet here she was standing in a ceremonial chamber adorned with crystal formations that refracted light in patterns humans had never seen before. The Zetharian royal family, all 7 feet tall with iridescent skin, and those mesmerizing purple eyes watched her, with expressions that ranged from curiosity to outright hostility. Princess Zarala looked different from the rest. Her eyes held warmth and her mouth curved into what Lucy hoped was a smile. The princess towered over her like all Zetharians, but moved, with a grace that seemed impossible for such a large being. The day had started normally enough. Lucy had been called to the main conference room to explain human engineering principles to the Zetharian scientists. She brought her tablet filled with diagrams and specifications, eager to share knowledge with beings whose technology was centuries beyond Earth. The princess had arrived unexpectedly midway through the presentation. Her entrance caused all the Zetharians to drop to one knee, a gesture. The humans awkwardly mimicked. Lucy continued her explanation when prompted, answering the princess questions about power generation on Earth spacecraft. Then it happened. Zarala asked if humans would be willing to share their unique approach to solving engineering problems. Lucy looked up directly into those swirling purple eyes and said, yes. That was all it took. One look. One word. And suddenly the room erupted into a flurry of activity. Ambassador Kate Miller was summoned immediately. Her face went pale when the Zetharian translator explained what had occurred. Your engineer has accepted a royal marriage proposal. The translator said, the ceremony must be prepared at once according to our most sacred traditions. Kate pulled Lucy aside, her voice a harsh whisper. What did you do? Hayes, I just answered a question about technology sharing. Lucy protested. I didn't propose to anyone. The ambassador rubbed her temples. It doesn't matter what you intended. It matters what they believe you've done. We can't afford a diplomatic incident. Not with the first advanced species we've ever encountered. Lucy felt her heart race. What are you saying? I'm saying. Kate sighed. You're getting married to an alien princess. The next few hours passed in a blur. Lucy was whisked away by Zetharian attendants, tall, willowy beings who seemed to communicate mostly through color changes in their skin. They dressed her in flowing garments made from a material that felt like liquid silk, but stronger than any fabric on Earth. The ceremonial chamber was carved from a single massive crystal, with facets that caught and amplified the light from 3 moons visible through the transparent ceiling. The Zetharian royal family entered in a procession, each member adorned with what appeared to be living jewelry creatures that glowed and shifted forms. Lucy noticed how the other humans from the expedition were positioned at the far side of the chamber. The ambassador Kate looked tense, while the military officers seemed ready to intervene if necessary. The scientists watched with undisguised fascination. When Zarala entered, the chamber fell silent. The princess wore a crown that seemed to be made of pure light. Her skin shifted through colors Lucy had no names for creating, patterns that almost told a story. Ambassador Kate made one last attempt to resolve the situation. Your Majesty, she addressed the Zetharian Emperor, while bowing deeply. There has been a misunderstanding. Our engineer did not understand the significance of her actions in your culture. We respectfully request that this ceremony be postponed until we can better understand each other's customs. The Emperor, a massive being whose skin rippled with dark colors that reminded Lucy of storm clouds, spoke. In a voice that seemed to vibrate through her bones, the eyes do not lie. Ambassador, the fated pair has recognized each other. To deny this bond would upset the cosmic balance. It would be seen as a grave insult to our people. Lucy watched as Kate struggled to find a diplomatic solution. But the Emperor's stance was clear: breaking the engagement would trigger an interstellar incident that could end the newly formed relations between humans and Zetharians. As the ceremony began, Lucy found herself standing before Zarala. The princess height was even more imposing up close, yet there was something in her manner that put Lucy at ease. "Fear not, human," one Zarala spoke directly to her in accented English. "The universe has chosen. Well, I sense a worthy spirit in you." Before Lucy could respond, a Zetharian elder approached, carrying what appeared to be a bowl filled with luminescent liquid. The liquid moved on its own, rising up to form shapes in the air. The ceremony itself was surprisingly simple. Lucy and Zarala each drank from the bowl. The liquid tasted like honey and starlight and made Lucy's vision sharpen to an almost painful clarity. Then they pressed their palms together. Zarala's 3-fingered hand, dwarfing Lucy's 5-fingered one. Warm sensation spread up Lucy's arm and throughout her body. She felt lightheaded, but not unpleasantly so. Colors seemed more vivid, sounds more clear. She could almost sense the presence of Zarala in her mind. A gentle, curious presence. The elder spoke, words in the Zetharian language that the translator did not convert. Then the Emperor made a gesture and the entire assembly bowed. "It is done." The translator finally said, "You are now bonded in the eyes of the universe and the laws of the Empire. The Princess Zarala and her human mate are one." Lucy's first thought was how she would explain this to her parents back on Earth. Her second thought, as she looked up at Zarala and saw something like wonder in those alien eyes, was that this might not be the disaster it appeared to be. After the ceremony came a celebration unlike anything Lucy had experienced. The great hall filled with music, created by instruments that manipulated sound in ways human ears had never heard. Food appeared on floating platters, dishes that changed flavor with each bite. Lights danced through the air, responding to the movements of the guests. Lucy found herself surrounded by curious Zetharians, all eager to understand the human who had captured their princess. Attention. She answered questions as best she could, aware that every word, every gesture was being carefully observed and analyzed. She caught glimpses of her human colleagues throughout the evening. Some looked concerned, others amused. A few seemed envious. Captain Morgan approached during a lull in the celebrations. "Well, Hayes," she said with a wry smile, "when we were assigned to this mission, I don't think anyone expected one of us to come home with a royal spouse." Lucy groaned. "This isn't funny, Cassie. I'm basically a political prisoner." Now the captain's expression softened. "I don't think that's how the princess sees it. Have you noticed the way she looks at you when she thinks you're not watching? There's something there. Hayes, something real." Lucy glanced across the room to where Zarala stood, surrounded by members of what appeared to be noble houses. The princess caught her eye, and the colors on her skin shifted to a warm golden hue. Maybe, Lucy thought, maybe there is, as the celebration continued. Into the night, Lucy wondered what the coming days would bring. She was now tied to an alien royal family on a planet light years from Earth. Everything she knew, everything she had planned for her life had changed in an instant because of one look, one word. And yet, as she watched Zarala move through the crowd with grace and dignity, Lucy felt a strange sense of possibility. The universe was larger and stranger than humanity had ever imagined. Perhaps this accidental marriage was just the beginning of an adventure beyond anything she could have dreamed. A month into her new life, Lucy discovered that being married to an alien princess came with unexpected benefits. The Zetharians' technology was centuries beyond what humans had achieved. Zarala gave her access to their engineering archives, which contained solutions to problems Earth scientists hadn't even properly formulated. Yet Lucy spent hours in the vast crystal library, where information was stored in patterns of light rather than physical media. The Zetharian knowledge keeper, a being so old her skin had faded to almost transparent, guided Lucy through the basics of their engineering principles. The first breakthrough came when Lucy understood how the Zetharians used crystalline structures to store and transfer energy without waste, without heat, a perfect system that could power entire cities, with a fraction of the resources Earth used. She immediately saw applications for human settlements, solving energy crises that had plagued Earth for generations. She recorded her findings, carefully preparing reports for Ambassador Kate as promised. But she was selective, focusing on technologies that would benefit humanity without giving potential military advantages. The line she walked grew increasingly thin one morning. As she worked in the library, a group of young Zetharians entered. They moved with the fluid grace of their species, but there was something aggressive in their posture. They approached her table, looming over her. The human mate presumes to understand. Our science one said, its skin flashing with patterns of contempt. She steals our knowledge for her primitive species. Lucy stood, though she still had to crane her neck to look up at them. "I'm not stealing anything," she said firmly. "Princess Zarala has granted me access to these archives." Another Zetharian made a sound like breaking glass, which Lucy had learned was their version of derisive laughter. "The princess is blinded by the mating bond," it said. "Many believe this union weakens the royal line." Lucy felt anger rising, but kept her voice steady. "Your opinion is noted," she said. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have work to do." She turned back to the crystal interface, but one of the Zetharians reached out a three-fingered hand and passed it through the light pattern, disrupting her work. "You do not belong here, human," it hissed. "You never will." Before Lucy could respond, the Knowledge Keeper appeared beside them, her nearly transparent skin rippling with angry red patterns. "The royal mate studies with my blessing," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made Lucy's teeth ache. "If you question this, you question the Emperor himself." The young Zetharians backed away, their skin showing patterns of alarm and submission. They left the library without another word, but Lucy knew this wasn't the end. She had enemies in the Zetharian court, people who saw her as a threat or an insult to their species. Purity. That evening she told Zarala about the encounter. The princess listened, her skin darkening with concern. "They were from House Korek," she said after Lucy described them. "They have opposed my family for generations. This is not about you, Lucy. It is about power and ancient grudges." Lucy shook her head. "But I'm a convenient target, a way to undermine you without directly challenging your family." Zarella made a gesture of agreement, her long fingers tracing patterns in the air. "You understand our politics quickly," she said. "There is wisdom in you." "Thanks," Lucy said dryly. "But wisdom won't protect me if these Koreks decide to move from insults to action." Zarella moved closer, her tall form towering over Lucy. "You are under my protection," she said. "No Zetharian would dare harm a royal mate. The cosmic balance would turn against them." Lucy wasn't so sure. Cosmic balance seemed a flimsy defense against prejudice and political ambition. But she didn't argue. Instead, she changed the subject, telling Zarala about her discoveries in the engineering archives. The princess listened with interest, asking questions that showed her own considerable scientific knowledge. When Lucy explained how the technology could help Earth, Zarala's skin shifted to patterns of pleasure. "You see beyond yourself, beyond your species," the princess said. "That is rare among both our kinds. Many seek knowledge only for power. You seek it to elevate others." Lucy hadn't thought about it that way, but engineering had always been about solving problems, making life better. Her access to Zetharian technology was an opportunity to address Earth's greatest challenges: climate change, resource depletion, disease. The next day, Lucy had a surprise visitor. Captain Cassie Morgan arrived at the royal quarters, escorted by Zetharian guards. The captain whistled as she entered the crystal chambers. "Nice digs. Haze moving up in the world." Lucy hugged her friend, glad for the familiar face. "How did you get permission to visit?" The ambassador said security protocols were tight. Cassie grinned. "I'm delivering a package from Earth," she said, "special diplomatic pouch." She handed Lucy a small container. "About time someone checked on you." Inside the container were letters from Lucy's family, photos of her parents and brother, a small jar of her mother's homemade strawberry jam, a history book her father thought she'd enjoy, small treasures from a world that suddenly seemed very far away. Lucy felt tears in her eyes as she read the letters, her mother worried but trying to sound upbeat, her father proud in his quiet way, Nate teasing but caring. They wrote about Everyday things, the weather, neighborhood gossip, her brother's medical studies, ordinary life continuing without her. Cassie watched her face. You okay? Hayes Lucy nodded, blinking back tears. It's just a lot seeing home knowing I'm not going back anytime. Soon, maybe not ever, Cassie said quietly. The words hung between them. The human expedition would return to Earth eventually, but Lucy's path now led elsewhere. Zarala entered the chamber, her skin glowing with welcome patterns when she saw the visitor. Captain Morgan, she said. We are honored by your presence. Cassie straightened almost to attention. You have an impressive home, Your Highness. Thank you for your hospitality. Lucy watched the interaction. Fascinated. Cassie, who normally joked about everything, was formal, respectful. The captain was seeing what Lucy had come to understand. The Zetharians might seem alien, but they commanded respect through more than their advanced technology. There was a dignity, a sense of ancient wisdom in their bearing after. Cassie left. Zarla examined the items from Earth with childlike curiosity. She was particularly interested in the photos, asking Lucy to identify each family member and tell stories about them. She tasted a tiny bit of the strawberry jam, her skin flashing with surprise at the sweetness. They tell stories about you on your world, she said, studying a photo where Lucy stood between her parents at her engineering school graduation. They honor you. Lucy laughed. They love me, she corrected theirs. A difference. Zarala tilted her head. Is there? The bonds of family, the bonds of honor. Are they not the same? It was these conversations that fascinated Lucy. The way Zarala thought, the different connections she made. The princess was brilliant by any standard, but her mind worked along patterns shaped by an alien culture and alien biology. Even simple concepts could lead to profound discussions as they discovered the differences and similarities in their worldviews. 2 months into her stay, Lucy began working with the Zetharian medical researchers. The similarities between human and Zetharian biology were few, but the differences proved even more interesting. The Zetharians' regenerative abilities, their extended lifespan, their symbiotic relationship with the crystalline elements of their planet all offered potential insights for human medicine. Dr. Olivia Welch, the human expedition's chief medical officer, joined her in this research. The two women worked together examining the Zetharian medical database. This is revolutionary, Olivia said as they reviewed data on cellular regeneration. If we could adapt even a fraction of this for humans, we could cure diseases that have plagued us for centuries. Lucy nodded cautiously. The medical applications were perhaps the most important discoveries she could bring back to Earth, but also the most ethically complicated. The Zetharians had evolved alongside the crystalline biology of their planet. Their medical technology was inseparable from that unique relationship. I don't think we can simply copy their methods, she said. We need to understand the principles and find human-compatible alternatives. Olivia looked disappointed but nodded. I see your point. We can't exactly infuse humans with crystalline structures. Lucy wasn't so sure about that, actually. The longer she spent among the Zetharians, the more she noticed subtle changes in herself. Her vision seemed sharper, her reflexes quicker. She found she needed less sleep, yet felt more rested. She had mentioned these changes to Zarala, who seemed unsurprised. The bonding ceremony, the princess explained. The liquid you drank contains what you might call adaptive symbiotes. They help your biology become more compatible with our environment. It is traditional for royal mates from different regions. Different regions, not different species, Lucy had thought but didn't say. She wondered what other changes might be happening to her body at a cellular level. What might happen over years, decades? Would she age differently? Would her lifespan extend? She had so many questions but was almost afraid of the answers. In her 3rd month on Zathar, Lucy faced another challenge. A diplomatic delegation arrived from a neighboring star system. The Viridians, a species even taller than the Zetharians with 4 arms and silvery skin, came to renew ancient treaties. As the royal mate, Lucy was expected to attend the formal reception. Ambassador Kate helped her prepare. The ambassador was impressed with Lucy's reports on Zetharian technology, but concerned about her increasing integration into alien culture. The first challenge came immediately after the ceremony. Lucy was escorted to the royal quarters, a series of chambers carved into a living crystal mountain. The rooms shifted colors based on the occupant's mood, which meant Lucy spent her first night surrounded by walls pulsing with anxious yellow light. Zarala entered the chamber, her skin reflecting the yellow light. "You are uncomfortable, human." Mate Lucy flinched at the term. The name is Lucy. And yes, this is all happening very fast. Where I come from, people date before they get married. Zarala tilted her head, a gesture Lucy would come to recognize as confusion. Date. What is this practice? Lucy spent the next hour explaining human courtship rituals. To her surprise, Zarala listened with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions that showed a quick and curious mind. "My people believe the universe brings fated pairs together," Zarala explained. "The ancient customs are designed to recognize these bonds when they appear. The eyes never lie when they lock with their destined mate." Lucy wasn't sure about fate or destiny, but she had to admit something strange happened when she looked into Zarala's eyes. Something that made her heart race and her thoughts scatter. That night they slept in separate areas of the chamber, Zarala, understanding enough about human customs to give Lucy space. The bed, if it could be called. That was a shallow depression, filled with a material that adjusted to Lucy's body, providing perfect support. Yet sleep eluded her as she stared at the ceiling that somehow showed the stars outside, as if the mountain wasn't there at all. Morning came with a delegation of Zetharian attendants, all female, or at least Lucy assumed they were female from their more slender builds and elaborate skin patterns. They brought food that looked like jewels but tasted like fruits and bread from Earth. They helped Lucy dress in garments made for a human, but designed in Zetharian style. The first week passed in a blur of new experiences. Lucy was given a tour of the Crystal Palace, learning that the entire structure was actually alive. A massive organism that had been guided over centuries to grow into its current form. Rooms could be created or changed, pathways could appear or disappear. The Zetharians had a symbiotic relationship with their environment in ways that human science had barely imagined. During the day, Lucy attended diplomatic meetings alongside Ambassador Kate and the other human representatives. She noticed how the Zetharians now treated her differently, with respect but also curiosity, as if they were trying to understand what made her worthy of their princess. In the evening, she would return to the royal quarters where Zarala would be, waiting. They would share meals and conversation slowly, building a bridge between their vastly different experiences. "Tell me of your Earth family," Zarala asked one evening as they sat on a balcony, overlooking crystal forests that glowed with bioluminescence in the twilight. Lucy smiled, thinking of her parents and younger brother in their small house in Michigan. "My parents are both teachers," she explained. "My father teaches history and my mother teaches science. I have one brother, Nate. He's studying to be a doctor." She paused, feeling a pang of homesickness. "I miss them." Zarala's skin shifted to a deep blue. In the Zetharian royal house, children are raised by the entire clan. We have many parents, many siblings. Our bonds are complex and overlapping, but I understand your connection to your birth family. It is precious to you." Lucy nodded. "It is. Do you have siblings?" Zarala made a gesture with her hand that created ripples of color across her skin. "I have 17 clutchmates, though only 12 survived to adulthood." The royal birthing is difficult. Lucy tried not to show her shock at the number. The casual mention of deaths made her realize how little she knew about Zetharian biology and customs. But rather than feeling alienated, she found herself wanting to understand more. The second week brought a new challenge. Lucy was invited to attend a meeting of the Science Council, the Zetharians' highest body of researchers and innovators. She entered the vast chamber constructed like an amphitheater, with terraced seating for hundreds of the tall aliens. The moment she appeared, conversation stopped and all eyes turned to her. The head of the council, an ancient-looking Zetharian whose skin had faded to pale lavender, spoke. "We wish to understand why Princess Zarala has chosen a human mate. We have studied your species, biology, culture, technology. We find you primitive, yet there must be qualities we have overlooked. Lucy felt her face flush with anger at being called primitive. But she kept her composure. You might find us less advanced technologically, she said carefully. But technology isn't everything. Humans have qualities that transcend our current development level. The council head made a dismissive gesture, such as Lucy thought carefully. Before answering adaptability, she said finally, humans can thrive in almost any environment. We change, we learn, we grow faster than any species we've encountered. We don't live as long as your people, but we pack a lot of living into our years. She paused, gathering courage, and we dream. We imagine possibilities that don't exist yet, and then we make them real. A murmur went through the assembled scientists. The council head studied her for a long moment, then proved this adaptability, human show. Us what qualities make you worthy of the royal line. Before Lucy could respond, the chamber doors opened and Zarala entered, her skin blazing with angry red patterns. My mate does not need to prove her worth, she declared, her voice carrying a harmonic that made Lucy's teeth vibrate. She was chosen by the universe itself. That is all any Zetharian needs to know. The confrontation ended with the Science Council backing down, but Lucy knew she had made powerful enemies. The Zetharians who believed humans were inferior would be watching for any weakness, any mistake that evening. As they sat in their shared quarters, Lucy asked, "Why did you defend me today? I could have answered their questions." Zarala colors shifted thoughtfully. Because their questions were not asked in good faith. They sought to diminish you to find reason to reject our bond. The Science Council fears change. They fear what humans represent, and what do we represent? Lucy asked. Unpredictability. Zarala said. The unknown. For a species that has mapped every star in 12 galaxies, the unknown is terrifying. Lucy considered this. The relationship between their species was more complex than she had realized. The Zetharians might be technologically advanced, but they had become rigid. In their thinking set and patterns established over thousands of years, humans with their short lives and constant innovation represented chaos to their ordered universe. The third week brought a surprising visitor. Ambassador Kate arrived at the royal quarters looking tired but determined. Lucy, she said, we need to talk in private. Zarala graciously left them alone. Though Lucy suspected the princess could still monitor the conversation through the living crystal of the palace, Kate didn't waste time. Earth is concerned about your situation, she said. The Pentagon believes you've been taken hostage for our technology. Lucy snorted. I'm hardly a hostage. Kate, I've been treated with nothing but respect, well, except for the Science Council. The ambassador sighed. It's not that simple, Hayes. You're now connected to the royal family of the most advanced civilization we've ever encountered. You're privy to conversations, technology, information that could affect the balance of power. There's concern you might. Go native, go native, Lucy repeated incredulously. I'm still human, Kate. I'm still loyal to Earth. But for how long? The ambassador countered. The Zetharians live for centuries. How will you feel in 20 years? 50, 100 if their medicine extends your life. What will your priorities be then? The question struck Lucy with unexpected force. She hadn't considered the implications of the lifespan difference Zarala had mentioned. Zetharians typically lived for 500 to 600 Earth years. What would that mean for their relationship, for her connections to humanity? I don't know, she admitted. But I do know that right now, I'm in a unique position to help both our species understand each other. Isn't that worth something? Kate looked at her thoughtfully. You've changed, Hayes. It's only been 3 weeks, but you've changed. Has that thought occurred to you that maybe it's for the better? Lucy asked. The ambassador didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, Command wants regular reports from you. Detailed accounts of what you're learning, what you're seeing. Technical specifications, cultural insights, anything that might help us understand the Zetharians. Lucy frowned. So I'm to be a spy. Not a spy. Kate corrected. A representative of Earth who happens to be in a unique position. It's an opportunity. Lucy, one that could benefit billions of people back home. Lucy thought about her parents, about Nate, about all the people on Earth who would never have the chance to see what she had seen, to learn what she was learning. She did have a responsibility to share that knowledge. "You'll do it," she said finally. "But on one condition: I won't betray Zarala's trust. I won't share anything that could harm her or her people." Kate smiled grimly. "Fair enough. Command will want your first report by the end of the month." After the ambassador left, Lucy stood at the window watching the 3 moons of Zathar rise. She felt pulled in 2 directions by loyalty to her home world and by the growing connection to Zarala and this strange, beautiful, alien culture. Zarala returned, her skin a muted pattern of blues and purples. "I sense conflict in you," she said. Lucy nodded, not surprised that the princess could read her emotional state. "The ambassador wants me to report back to Earth about what I learn here, and will you?" Zarala asked, her voice neutral. The first diplomatic crisis came 3 months after their marriage. A delegation from Earth arrived with orders to bring Lucy home. Politicians and military leaders had grown concerned about the knowledge and power she had access to as the princess consort. The delegation was led by General Samantha Wright, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She arrived with a team of diplomats and security personnel, their presence causing a stir in the Zatharian court. Lucy met with them in a neutral chamber designed for diplomatic meetings. Ambassador Kate was present, looking uncomfortable, caught between her loyalty to Earth Command and her growing respect for Lucy. General Wright did not waste time on pleasantries. "Engineer Hayes," she said, her voice crisp, "I have orders to return you to Earth immediately. The Pentagon considers your situation a security risk to both yourself and to humanity." Lucy kept her expression neutral, though she felt a surge of anger at being discussed, as if she were a piece of equipment rather than a person. "With respect, General," she said, "I am not just an engineer anymore. I am a bridge between our species, and I believe I can do more good here than I could on Earth." The general frowned. "That isn't your decision to make, Hayes. This situation has gone beyond a simple cultural misunderstanding. You have access to alien technology and information that could fundamentally alter the balance of power on Earth. The United Nations Security Council has determined that no single individual should have that kind of influence." Lucy glanced at Ambassador Kate, who avoided her eyes. "So much for scientific exchange and diplomatic relations," she said bitterly. "This is about control, not control right," corrected caution. "We know almost nothing about the Zatharians, their true intentions, their long-term plans. We can't allow a single citizen to potentially compromise Earth's security." Lucy stood her ground. Her months among the Zatharians had changed her, given her confidence she'd never had before. Perhaps not, she agreed. "But before you force the issue, consider what message that would send to the Zatharian Empire. They believe fate itself brought us together. Would you have Earth be known as the species that defies cosmic law for political convenience?" Ambassador Miller, who had remained on the planet as permanent liaison, stepped forward. "The young woman has a point, General," she said. "Our relationship with the Zatharians is fragile. We need to respect their customs while we learn more about each other." Bright eyes narrowed. "I don't care about alien customs, Ambassador. I care about the security of our planet." The standoff escalated quickly. The Zatharians were informed of Earth's demands. Zarala was furious, her skin blazing with patterns of anger and indignation. The Emperor himself became involved. Lucy found herself at the center of an interstellar diplomatic crisis, one that threatened the newly established relations between humanity and the most advanced civilization they had ever encountered. The pressure was immense, ambassadors from both sides arguing, threats being made barely veiled. After 3 days of negotiations, a compromise was proposed. Lucy would remain with Zarala, but would serve as an official representative of Earth, with regular reports sent back on Zatharian technology and culture. She would be given diplomatic status with all the responsibilities and limitations that entailed, and a small team of Earth scientists would be allowed to join her, working directly with Zatharian researchers under strict protocols. General Wright was not happy with the arrangement, but faced with the alternative, a complete breakdown in relations with the Zatharians. She reluctantly agreed as the Earth delegation prepared to depart. Zarala found Lucy staring out at the crystal forests that surrounded the palace. "You could have returned to your world," Zarala said. The shifting colors of her skin had settled into a deep blue that Lucy had come to associate with thoughtfulness. You chose to stay. Why? Lucy considered the question. The truth was complex and still forming in her own mind, but she tried to answer honestly. At first I stayed because it seemed necessary for peace between our people, she admitted. But now I think I stay because every day I learn something new about your world, about your people. She hesitated, then added softly, about you. And I want to keep learning. Zarala extended a long, elegant hand, her 3 fingers brushing against Lucy's cheek. The human mate bond is forming. Then she said, her multi-toned voice vibrating with what sounded like pleasure. Lucy smiled. The name is still Lucy. And yes, I think it is. The resolution of the diplomatic crisis brought a new phase to Lucy's life. With official status as Earth's representative, she now had formal responsibilities. The team of Earth scientists arrived: 5 engineers, 3 medical researchers, 2 physicists, and an anthropologist. All looked at Lucy with a mixture of awe, curiosity, and in some cases suspicion. Dr. Eleanor Chen, the anthropologist, was the most openly friendly, fascinated by Lucy's unique position. I can't believe my luck, she told Lucy over a meal in the human quarters. We study first contact scenarios for decades, and here you are living it. Learning an alien culture from the inside, Lucy found herself warming to Eleanor. The woman was genuinely curious about the Zetharians without the fear or political agendas that colored many human interactions with the aliens. Tell me about the bonding, Lucy, Eleanor asked one day as they walked through the crystal gardens that surrounded the palace. Is it purely ceremonial, or is there something more to it? Lucy hesitated, unsure how much to share about the changes she had experienced since the bonding ceremony. The increased sensory awareness, the strange dreams where she sometimes saw through Zarala's eyes, the way she could sometimes sense the princess' emotions. Even when they were apart, it's more than ceremonial. She said finally, there are physical changes, adaptations. The Zetharians believe the universe guides compatible souls together. But there's definitely a biological component as well. Eleanor's eyes widened. Are you saying there's a physiological bond, something like that? Lucy admitted. But I don't fully understand it myself, and she did not really. The Zetharians considered the mate bond sacred, almost mystical. They spoke of it in terms that human science couldn't easily categorize. The anthropologist was fascinated. What about reproduction? She asked. Do the Zetharians expect you and Zarala to have children? Lucy nearly choked on the fruit she was eating. We haven't discussed that, she said, though she'd wondered herself. The Zetharians reproduced differently from humans, that much she knew. They laid eggs in crystalline nests that were then nurtured by the living crystal of the planet itself. The genetic material came from multiple parents, not just 2. How she would fit into that process, if at all, was a question she wasn't ready to consider. Eleanor seemed to sense her discomfort and changed the subject. But the conversation stayed with Lucy, raising questions about her future with Zarala. What did the princess expect from their union beyond the diplomatic advantages? What did Lucy herself want? That evening she found the courage to ask. Zarala considered the question, her skin shifting through thoughtful patterns. Our union serves many purposes, she said. The diplomatic bond between our peoples, the fulfillment of ancient prophecies that speak of unions between the stars. Prophecies, Lucy interrupted. This is the first I'm hearing about prophecies. Zarala made a gesture that Lucy had come to recognize as the Zetharian equivalent of a smile. There are many things I have yet to share with you, she said. The knowledge comes when you are ready to receive it. Lucy sighed. The princess still had a tendency toward cryptic statements, a cultural trait that sometimes frustrated her direct human sensibilities. But I'm asking about us, she persisted. Not politics, not prophecies, just us. What do you want from this relationship? Zarala was silent for a long moment, her skin cycling through colors, too quickly for even Lucy to interpret. Then she spoke in a voice softer than usual. I want what any being wants from a mate. Understanding, companionship, growth. She paused, her purple eyes seeming to look into Lucy rather than at her. And yes, eventually, Offspring. Our scientists believe it is possible with adaptations. Lucy felt her heart race at the directness of the answer. So many implications, so many questions. But what struck her most was the emotion behind Zarla's words. The princess, genuine, why? Desire for connection, do you? She hesitated, uncertain how to phrase the question. Do you have feelings for me? Beyond the mate bond, I mean. Zarala moved closer, her tall form graceful in the crystalline light of their quarters. I have watched you these past months, she said. You face each challenge with courage and wisdom. You seek to understand rather than judge. You build bridges where others would build walls. Her skin glowed with warm, golden patterns. The feelings I have for you are not beyond the mate bond, they are the very essence of it. Recognition, respect, admiration. She reached out, touching Lucy's face with gentle fingers and what humans call affection. It wasn't quite a declaration of love, not in human terms, but Lucy understood the depth of what Zarala was expressing. The princess saw her, truly valued her, not just as a political asset, but as a person, as a partner. That night, as they sat together watching the 3 moons of Zathar rise over the crystal landscape, Lucy realized how far she had come from that accidental meeting of eyes months ago. She had entered an alien world, adapted, learned, grown, and most surprisingly, she had found connection in the most unexpected place. 1 year and 3 months after her accidental marriage, Lucy stood before the assembled Zatharian council, now fluent enough in their language to address them directly. She had become more than a curiosity, more than a diplomatic accident. She had become a voice for humanity in the halls of power of the most advanced civilization humans had ever encountered. Zarala stood beside her, their hands joined in the Zatharian gesture of united purpose. The princess' skin glowed with a deep purple of pride as Lucy presented the first draft of a comprehensive treaty between Earth and the Zatharian Empire. Lucy had spent months crafting this document, working with both human and Zatharian legal experts to create an agreement that respected both species' values and interests. It established protocols for knowledge exchange, cultural contact, and eventual trade. It included safeguards against technological exploitation and cultural contamination. It laid the groundwork for a relationship that could benefit both civilizations. The council chamber was silent as Lucy finished her presentation. She stood tall, meeting the purple eyes of the assembled Zatharian elders. Without hesitation or fear, she was no longer intimidated by their alien appearance or ancient power. She had earned her place among them. The Emperor spoke, his voice resonating through the crystal chamber. The human mate has shown wisdom beyond her years, he said. His skin glowed with patterns of approval. She honors both her birth world and her adopted home. Lucy bowed in the formal Zatharian manner. I seek harmony between our peoples, she said. I believe there is a path that allows both to flourish without either losing what makes them unique. The head of House Corex rose, his skin flashing with skeptical patterns. The humans are young, aggressive, expansionist, he countered. They consume resources at an alarming rate. They fight among themselves for trivial reasons. How can we trust them with our knowledge? Lucy had anticipated this objection. It was the same fear she had heard countless times from conservative Zatharians. It was even a fear she shared to some extent, knowing humanity's troubled history. Humanity is young, she acknowledged. We make mistakes. We sometimes act before we think. But she looked around the chamber, making eye contact with each council member. We also learn. We adapt faster than any species you've encountered. We recognize our flaws and strive to overcome them. She activated the crystal interface, before her projecting images from Earth history into the chamber. Moments of human triumph over their worst instincts, the founding of the United Nations, the environmental restoration projects, the peaceful resolution of conflicts that once seemed intractable. We contain multitudes, she continued. Some seek only power. Others work for the common good. By engaging with us, by sharing your wisdom, you strengthen those who would lead humanity toward a better future. The debate continued for hours. Council members raising objections, Lucy and Zarala addressing each in turn. The princess diplomatic skills complemented Lucy's passionate advocacy. Together they presented a united front, a living example of what cooperation between their species could achieve. As the council session ended, Lucy felt exhausted but hopeful. The treaty had not been approved yet, but neither had it been rejected. The Zetharians would consider it deliberate upon it in their methodical way. They had time their lifespans measured. In centuries they could afford patience. That night, as they watched the 3 moons of Zathar rise over the crystal landscape, Zarala asked Lucy if she ever regretted the accident that brought them together. Lucy considered the question, thinking of everything she had left behind on Earth. Her family, her career, her familiar world. The simple pleasures of rain on her face, of seasons changing, of human music and food, and everything she had gained here. Knowledge, wisdom, perspective. A view of the universe that few humans would ever experience. And Zarala herself, the alien princess whose strange beauty and brilliant mind had become essential to Lucy's happiness. She told her alien wife, "I don't regret it at all." Zarala's eyes shimmered with emotion, her skin cycling through colors too quickly for even Lucy to interpret. Then she spoke words that translated roughly to, "When different stars align, they create new constellations that could never exist alone." Lucy smiled, understanding the poetry of the alien phrase. It was true together. They were something new, something neither of their species had seen before, something with the potential to change both their worlds. 2 weeks later, Lucy received news from Earth. Her brother Nate was getting married. The message came with an invitation and a note from her parents. "We understand if you can't make it," they wrote, "but we miss you. We all do." Lucy stood in her quarters, staring at the holographic image of her family. Her mother, hair grayer than she remembered, her father slightly stooped now. Her brother with his arm around a woman Lucy had never met. A family continuing their lives, moving forward without her present to witness it. Zarala found her there, still staring at the image. "You wish to attend," she said. It was not a question. Lucy nodded. "I do," she admitted. "But the treaty negotiations, the diplomatic situation, I'm not sure I can leave." Zarala made a decision, her skin shifting to patterns of determination. "You will go," she said. "I will make the arrangements. The council can continue their deliberations without your presence for a short time." But Lucy began. The princess held up a hand, silencing her with the regal authority she rarely used with Lucy. "Family bonds are sacred," she said. "Your brother celebrates a union. I understand the importance." 2 days later, Lucy found herself aboard a Zetharian vessel, the fastest in their fleet, capable of covering the vast distance between Zathar and Earth in a fraction of the time it would take human ships. She traveled with a small Zetharian delegation, including medical staff, to monitor her readaptation to Earth's environment. The journey gave Lucy time to reflect on how she had changed in her time on Zathar. Not just the subtle physical alterations from the bonding ceremony, though those were significant. Her enhanced senses, her improved stamina, her quickened reflexes, but the deeper changes in how she thought, how she perceived the universe, how she had learned to balance human impulsiveness with Zetharian patience, human creativity with Zetharian wisdom. When the ship entered Earth's solar system, Lucy felt a surge of emotion at the sight of the familiar blue planet. She had never expected to feel like a stranger approaching her homeworld. But that was exactly what she experienced. She was returning change to a place that had continued without her. The ship's arrival caused a sensation. Earth had never seen Zetharian vessel this close. Their technology, their design unlike anything humans had created. The ship remained in orbit while Lucy and a small escort took a shuttle to the surface landing at a designated diplomatic facility. Lucy stepped onto Earth soil, breathing deeply, feeling the slightly stronger gravity, the familiar atmosphere, the sense of her homeworld, grass trees, concrete car exhaust, all the mundane smells she had forgotten. She was met by a delegation of officials, including General Wright, who still regarded her with suspicion. But Lucy had no time for politics. She had a wedding to attend. Her family reunion was tearful, joyous, complicated. Her parents embraced her tightly, her mother crying, her father pretending not to. Her brother Nate simply stared at her for a long moment before saying, "Wow, sis, you look different." Lucy laughed. "I am different," she acknowledged. They had so many questions. Questions about Zathar, about the Zatharians, about her life as a princess consort. Questions about Zarala. Questions about the treaty she was negotiating. Lucy answered as best she could, trying to translate her experiences into terms her family could understand. The wedding itself was beautiful, a traditional ceremony in a small church. Nate and his bride Amy were radiant. Lucy watched with joy, but also a strange sense of distance. These human customs, once so familiar, now seemed as alien to her as Zatharian rituals had once been. After the ceremony, during the reception, Lucy slipped away for a moment of quiet. She stood in the gardens behind the venue, looking up at Earth's night sky, searching for the star that held Zathar, though she knew it was too distant to see with the naked eye. The technology in your eyes could help you locate it, a voice said. Lucy turned to find Dr. Eleanor Chen, the anthropologist, watching her. The woman had returned to Earth months earlier, but had apparently been invited to the wedding as a connection to Lucy. "How did you know?" Lucy asked, touching the area around her eyes self-consciously. Eleanor smiled. "The subtle iridescence," she said, "only noticeable in certain light. But there are other changes too. The way you move, the way you process information, your speech patterns have altered subtly, becoming more measured, more precise." Lucy was not surprised that the anthropologist had noticed. She had always been observant. "Is it that obvious to everyone?" Eleanor shook her head. "No. Most people just think you've matured, or that living on another world changed your perspective, which is true, of course. But there's more to it, isn't there? The bond with the princess. It's physiological as well as emotional." Lucy nodded slowly. "It's called adaptation," she explained. "The Zatharians believe compatible beings naturally grow toward each other. The bond facilitates this process, making communication easier, making understanding possible." "And do you understand her now?" Eleanor asked. "Your princess?" Lucy looked up at the sky again, thinking of Zarala. "Not completely," she admitted. "No more than she completely understands me, but we keep trying. That seems to be the important part. The effort, the willingness to bridge the gap."